MPs have been urged to consider compensation for the women affected by state pension changes. In an open letter to the House of Commons, leader Penny Mordaunt.
That's after a petition calling for compensation was signed by more than 30,000 people.
Former chair of the WASPI Campaign group, Hilary Simpson, joins us now. Hilary, good morning to you. How bad are things, Hilary, and do you think people are listening to you?
Well, judging by the discussion in Parliament yesterday, actually, I'd say everybody is listening to us, except possibly the Minister for Work and Pensions. We have an enormous groundswell of support from backbenchers and from people generally. That's been my experience over the last few days, but it's quite difficult to cut through to the government on this issue at the moment.
It's been a long-running battle. Just bring us up to date on your own story when you realised that you had been effectively shortchanged and not made aware of those changes, and you know how hopeful you are that finally, as you say, there seems to be this momentum that there might be some compensation for you.
Well, my story is pretty typical. It's not particularly exciting. I was working in local government. It was at the time of the financial crash around 2008-9. Local government was entering a period of austerity, much like it is at the moment. And lots of us working in local government were offered early retirement packages. I looked at what I was offered and thought it was quite a good deal. I was 55 at the time and assumed, because I'd never been notified otherwise, that I would get my state pension from 60. So in the spirit of good financial planning, I looked at the lump sum I would get. I made it last for the 5 years, as it were, until I would get my state pension at 60. It was only after I'd signed the deal that I found out that I wouldn't actually get that state pension till 63. And then, of course, there was a second wave of changes which accelerated it very quickly with virtually no notice from 63 to I eventually got mine at 65 and a half. As I said, not an exciting story, but absolutely typical of the way that the changes were communicated in such a way that nobody had any opportunity to plan or to make proper preparations.
Well, you say not an exciting story, but I would have thought a frightening story to go 2.5 years without any recompense, without money sitting there in the bank for you to go along. Well, how did you get through those? How did you get through those couple of years?
Well, the money that I had expected to sort of dole out and make last for 5 years ended up covering 10.5 years. So I had a workplace pension as well, but the top up was considerably diluted, let's put it that way. There are a lot of people who've had it a lot worse than me. I was lucky enough to have a workplace pension that was reasonably generous, but of course, a lot of women, for all kinds of reasons, didn't have that. And we all know that women get a raw deal from workplace pensions anyway. Many of them have spent a high proportion of their time in work working part-time while they've got small children or other caring responsibilities. At the time when most of us entered the workforce, we didn't always have access to workplace pensions. I mean, that was a relatively recent innovation. So.
Well, the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman took what he described as rare but necessary action to intervene and actually ask Parliament to debate and to vote on how these pension changes were communicated. Do you think you will see a decent chunk of compensation, and what sort of figure have you got in mind?
Well, there are two figures being bandied about at the moment. The one the Ombudsman is recommending is what he calls level 4. Which ranges from £1,000 to just under £3,000. What was actually recommended by a cross-party group of MPs, the all-party political group on this issue, was what the Ombudsman calls level 6. And level 6 is £10,000 or more. And the two main WASPI campaign groups, of which I'm one, chair of one, would like to see that higher level of £10,000 plus.
To you. I really hope that you manage to get the compensation you quite clearly deserve. Keep us posted on your campaign, and thanks very much for telling us your story this morning.
But you know, Hilary, a lot of people they won't. This won't affect them. They're not interested in you because they're not your age, and this hasn't happened to them. And when it does affect them, when they get to a certain age, what age have you to be before you get your pension now as a woman?
67, I think it's gone up to now.
Right, 67.
It's due to rise again, of course, for everybody. I mean, men and women now do get the same pension age.
Yeah. But you're a former civil servant. I mean, you must know the mood, whatever is going on in departments and whatever. This is all part of what I would put it as theft. This is theft. If someone's gone up to your purse and taken this money out, money that you were relying on, and it's the same for all the hundreds of thousands of people who are experiencing retrospective tax, which a lot of people don't care about loan charge or IR35 until it hits them, and that is the thing. What is going on? What is the mood in government at the minute for clawing back money? We hear about them spending money, but what about the secretive way instigated by people like George Osborne of getting money back?
I thought someone would mention George Osborne. He came up in Parliament yesterday with his famous quote about raising women's state pension age being the easiest money that his government had ever made. And that quote will haunt him forevermore, I'm fairly sure of that. What worries me, actually, is the government's poor record on implementing compensation. Because if you look at what's happened to the Post Office Horizon people, if you look at what's happened to the contaminated blood victims, to the Windrush victims, it's not a good story. The Equitable Life victims, in all those groups, there are still people waiting for compensation that they've been promised. And to be honest, that's the bit that worries me, that even if a compensation package is agreed, over 100 WASPI women are dying every day while this drags on. Yeah. So, time is of the essence, as they say.
Well, Hilary, good luck to you. You have our interest and support in all of this. Well, you've got mine anyway, having been a victim of theft from the Inland Revenue as well. But it's all happening out there. Hilary's story, your views on it, you're very welcome to let us know this morning. As I say, you won't really care until it affects you. Thank you very much indeed, Hilary Simpson.